So, the US and Israel attacked Iran, and within approximately 45 minutes, the entire Christian internet had already figured out exactly which Bible verse this was. Ezekiel 38, Gog and Magog, the final battle, the end times, pack your bags. One influencer, and I am not making this up, pointed out that Iran has been under its current regime for 47 years, and Trump is the 47th president. Therefore, prophecy. That's the level of biblical scholarship we are working with today. So let's actually open Ezekiel 38 together right now, because somebody read it before they posted, and that somebody was apparently not on social media. I'm here to fix that. Okay, so here's what the internet has decided about Iran and Bible prophecy. Let me count these off for you. 1. Iran is ancient Persia. Persia is in Ezekiel 38. Therefore, the Iran war is the Gog and Magog battle. Case closed. 2. Russia is Gog. Iran is Persia. They're both in Ezekiel 38. Russia and Iran are allies. Therefore, we are literally living inside the final chapter of human history. 3. And this one is my personal favorite. The convergence of AI, digital currency, the decline of American hegemony, and the multipolar world order are all peaking in 2026. Which apparently also lines up with something called the fig tree generation. I had to read that 3 times. Now here's the thing, some of these observations are not entirely wrong. Persia is in Ezekiel 38. Russia and Iran do have a relationship. These are facts. The problem is what people do with those facts, which is apparently skip the rest of the chapter. All right, Ezekiel 38. Let's actually read it. Gog, from the land of Magog, leads a massive coalition of nations against Israel. Persia is listed among them. Yes, Iran, ancient Persia, is in the text. But here's where the internet summary ends and the actual Bible begins. This coalition attacks Israel when Israel is living, and I'm quoting directly, in safety and without walls, a peaceful, unsuspecting nation. Now I want you to look at a map of modern Israel. Israel currently has one of the most heavily fortified borders on the entire planet. The Iron Dome, the wall, active military conflicts on multiple fronts. That is not living without walls. Additionally, the text describes Gog coming from the far north. Biblical scholars debate whether this is Russia, Turkey, or something else entirely. There is no scholarly consensus, and yet the internet has already filed the paperwork. Russia equals Gog, Iran equals Persia. Done. Prophecy fulfilled. See you at the rapture. The actual text is a little more complicated than that. Here's what most prophecy channels conveniently skip over. Ezekiel 38 has a context problem. Some theologians, not fringe voices, serious biblical scholars, argue that this prophecy was conditional, meaning it described what would happen if Israel remained faithful to their covenant with God. Israel did not remain faithful. The covenant was broken. And so according to this reading, the specific events described in Ezekiel 38 and 39 may have already been rendered void by Israel's own history. Now, I'm not telling you which interpretation is correct. That's a genuine theological debate that serious people have been having for centuries. What I am telling you is that the YouTube channel with the countdown clock has not resolved that debate. Neither has the guy who noticed that Iran has been under its regime for 47 years and Trump is the 47th president. That's not exegesis, that's numerology. And numerology is specifically the kind of thing the Bible warns you about. Can we talk about the prophecy industry for a second? Because there is a genuinely enormous amount of money being made from your anxiety about the end times. Books, conferences, YouTube channels, courses, newsletters, merch. All of it built on one simple business model. Find a current event, find a Bible verse that sounds vaguely related, and then say, "This could be it," in a tone that implies it definitely is. The Iran war has been a prophecy content gold rush. And here's the thing that should concern you. These same voices were doing this during COVID, and the 2020 election, and January 6th, and the 2024 election, and Ukraine. Every single major news event for the last 5 years has been, according to these channels, the fulfillment of end times prophecy. All of them. And somehow, we're still here.
which means either the end times are taking longer than expected or somebody has been wrong, repeatedly, and profitably. The Bible actually has a word for that. It's not a complimentary word.
The Bible calls them false prophets, and Deuteronomy 18 says the test is simple. If what they predicted didn't happen exactly as they said, they were not speaking for God. Full stop. No refunds on the course either. So what does the Bible actually say about Persia, ancient Iran? Here's something almost nobody mentions. In Ezra and Nehemiah, Persia is actually portrayed positively. Cyrus the Great, a Persian king, is the one God used to free the Jewish people from Babylonian captivity. Isaiah 45 calls Cyrus God's anointed. Let that sink in for a second. The nation everyone on the internet has cast as the final villain of human history is the same nation the Bible describes as an instrument of God's redemption. That is a significantly more complicated picture than the prophecy channels are giving you. In Ezekiel 38, yes, Persia is listed among Gog's coalition, but the text also makes clear that God himself will intervene in that battle. It is not America's job to fulfill that prophecy. It is not Israel's military that wins. God wins. Which raises an interesting question about the theology of people who are simultaneously convinced this is Gog and Magog, and that American military intervention was necessary. If God is the one who wins this battle, why did he need the U.S. Air Force? I'll give you a moment to sit with that one. Here's the reality check. Geopolitical events involving Israel and its neighbors are serious. They affect real people, real lives, real families. And the Christian response to that, like according to Scripture, is prayer, wisdom, humility, and compassion. Not a countdown clock, not a YouTube series with a dramatic intro and a Patreon link. Not Iran has been under its regime for 47 years, and Trump is the 47th president, therefore prophecy. Jesus himself said nobody knows the day or the hour, not the angels, not even him. That should make us humble. Instead, it's made some people very, very wealthy. So the next time you see a prophecy update about Iran, ask yourself one question. Is this person helping me understand Scripture, or are they helping themselves to your anxiety? Because those are two very different things, and the Bible, if you actually read it, makes it pretty easy to tell the difference. So, what does the Bible actually say about the Iran war? It says, be prayerful, be humble, be wise. Don't let fear drive your theology, and maybe, just maybe, read the whole chapter before you post about it. I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments. What's the most outrageous Iran prophecy claim you've seen online? I genuinely want to know, because apparently I have not seen all of them yet. Subscribe for a new biblical reality check every week. Share this with someone who needs to put down the prophecy newsletter and pick up their actual Bible. I'm Cassidy for Trump 2028 Bible, where Scripture answers the internet.
You're welcome.